Would you all please check your phones and please put them on silent or turn them off? You don't want to see that ghost going out the door. Thank you. Just check them again, please. So on Wednesday, I'm just going to read the quick headings of our principles of our church. So the philosophy is based on number 1. I'm nervous and I'm not doing anything. Number 1 is the fatherhood of God. Number 2 is the brotherhood of man. Number 3 is the communion of spirits and the ministry of angels. Number 4 is the continuous existence of the human soul. Number 5 is personal responsibility. Number 6 is compensation and retribution for all the good and evil deeds done on earth. And number 7 is eternal progress open to every human soul. So I'll just quickly open in prayer. So Divine Spirit, as we join together in this lovely church this evening, we do so with a wish in our hearts that everyone can find common ground and that war would be no more. And that people, even in the poorest countries, can find food and shelter, because we know all people in the world are part of the universe and your love is for every one of us. Help us all as individuals to help and understand each other so that we may all feel the love that comes to us from the world of spirit. Amen. And I'd like to welcome, I'm just going to quickly, I'll go back to front and then I'll welcome our lovely people. We have a raffle 2 for $1. They will be drawn on the 17th of December, that's our Christmas break. So there's some lovely gifts there as well. And then we have Susan Buck this Friday, 24th of November. The evening includes sound bath meditation. That is absolutely fabulous. And our Christmas break is on the 3rd of December at Wilson Lake, so if you remember, please put your names down. Okay, so to get to it, we have a night of ghost hunting and paranormal investigations. So I'd like to hand over to Chris and Dino from the Spirit Crew. Thank you very much.
Nervous. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming along tonight. It's really good to see that there's that much interest in the paranormal still, and ghost hunting, of course. Firstly, we'd like to thank the Spiritualist Church for having us here tonight. It was very nice of them to have us, and also Lorraine, who organised this. So,
and thank you, everyone, for coming as well.
Yes, thank you very much.
No, you're right.
Yes, my name's Philip Dean. And
otherwise known as Dino.
Otherwise known as Dino.
And I'm Christine. I'm the lead investigator for Spirit Crew South Australia and Night Watchers Paranormal Adelaide.
And together we've also got a YouTube and Facebook channel called Smithfield Paranormal. So basically we've been ghost hunting, so to speak, for about 15 months. We're relatively new to the game, but we've all both had interest in the paranormal and psychic subjects over the years. So it was basically very easy for us to fall into the ghost hunting sort of genre. I've always had interest in spirit and spirits, so we thought best thing we could do is try and find some evidence to back up what we've done.
Try and communicate with spirit, find out what their stories are, just basically see what's out there.
So we basically, our main source of investigations are cemeteries. There are some so-called haunted sites around Adelaide which we have investigated, such as, Chris?
Oh, lots.
Some of the ones you've done?
Some of the ones I've done. We've done Sir John Franklin Hotel a few times, Kapunda Museum. We've also done the Adelaide Jail quite a few times, and also Freemasons Lodge, lots of cemeteries. Where else? No. Well, that's really basically what we've done, isn't it?
That's the main gist of what we've done. It is hard to get places to investigate. There are a lot of very haunted sites around Adelaide, as people would know. It's just very hard to get into these sites because they're tied up by tour groups, and costs to get in there and investigate are phenomenal. So it does restrict us a bit. So, and especially during the winter time when it's cold, you're out there in the middle of a cemetery trying to talk to spirit, and it's 1 degree. They don't want to come out and talk to you, and we're sort of shivering away there as well. So it doesn't really work that well. But summertime, and the summertime coming up, we hope to get out there a bit more. Chris was lucky enough earlier this year to go to Tasmania,
Yes.
and do some investigating, some very, very haunted sites in Tasmania. Do you want to give the people a bit of an insight to that?
Travelled over there with my so-called bosses, Andrew Riccardi from Spirit Crew Australia, and Pete Casolado, who is co-founder of Night Watchers Adelaide. You can find them all on Facebook and YouTube. I'm a bit nervous, sorry. So we went over there. We did investigation. The very first one we did was at the Hobart Penitentiary. That is one creepy place. I can talk about the experiences there, I suppose, because we've got quite a few experiences that we're going to be talking about. We were down in the tunnels, which is underneath the courtrooms, which they used to chain the prisoners up in these really dark tunnels while they're waiting to be, go up into the courtroom, and sometimes they'd be down there for hours and hours. Myself and Angela were down there by ourselves. It was pitch black. We had REM pod, so the black thing with the red top, that's a REM pod. We had one of those. That was continually going off. K2 meters, which is this in the orange stand there. Also ghost or cat balls, which is the round clear things, and they go off. So we were standing there, we were doing our live stream. Angela was going down one hallway, I was down the other tunnel. We were standing there, all the equipment was going off, and then all of a sudden I got this poke in the back of my head, and I just went, oh, did you do that? And she started laughing. She goes, no, that wasn't me. And we were pissing ourselves. Excuse my language, but we were. And then we heard a growl. And then again, I turned around. Angela got poked, and I got poked again in the same thing. And it was terrifying. It's probably one of the most terrifying things I've gone through. Then we did the court, and then we went to the courtroom and didn't get much there. But yeah, if you ever get a chance to go to Tasmania in Hobart, to the penitentiary there, you can go through Stacey's Ghost Hunts, I think it's called, Ghost Tours. Amazing lady. I recommend going there. Then we went to Clarendon House, which is a beautiful old 1800s, I think it was 1800s, but it was a 3-storey house out in the middle of nowhere. It's like a historic house, so that was good. And we also did Oaklands. It's a place called Oaklands, it's not far out of Launceston. We did 3, it was jails, but there was what they used as a kitchen, and then there was a courthouse, and then we went to the actual jails itself. And where else did we go? I can't even remember now.
Did one of your crew members down there have an experience in the garden with someone as well?
Oh, yes. Angela's mum, Georgia, was walking, thank you for remembering, I forgot all about that, was walking through the garden, beautiful gardens in the Clarendon House, and she was by this garden hut, and she saw this gentleman, and she nodded to him and said hello, and he said hello back. He just had like a grey top, daggy old grey top, black pants and black shoes. And she come back and she said to Stacey, I just saw the gardener. And Stacey's like, it's a public holiday, there's nobody here. So he was a full body apparition. It was like she was talking to somebody. And she's a skeptic. So she's like, nah, it's not no, there's nobody here. And all our gardeners wear high vis. So that was her experience. Oh, also one of the team members from Spirit Crew Tasmania was down in the basement and went into this room that had antlers. And the antlers actually got thrown, heaved off of the table that was on and hit her in the chest, and she got quite bad bruising. So that would have been scary to go through. Yeah.
You also had a pretty strange experience at the Adelaide Jail in the kitchen?
In the kitchen. Well, we've had quite a few in the kitchen. A lot of action in there with alarms going off, cat balls and noises. We had a thing, I don't actually have it, but it's an alarm. It's a motion sensor alarm, and every time something goes past it, it's really loud and it sets it off. It kept on going off all the time, and it actually got knocked off the table when we were in there. So we got footage of that, so that was pretty cool.
We will go through some of this equipment in a minute and just explain, if you don't already know, about some of these things that are here. So a lot of them look sort of very Star Trek-y and technical, but they're basically just reading EMF readings and electrical discharges and stuff, but we'll go through that in a second. Yeah. We were at the Kapunda Museum not that long ago, and I was doing an interview, or what we call an Estes method session. I don't know if anyone's heard of that. Basically what it is a sound deprivation type of a experiment where the person will be sitting in a chair, blindfolded, headphones on, which are connected to what we call a spirit box, which is just playing white noise, and also radio frequencies in reverse. So it just scans through the radio frequencies, and spirit can use those to talk to us or communicate. So the person in the chair will be just listening for words, sentences. Other people will be just walking around, asking questions. They could be in front of them. I could be somewhere around the back asking questions.
Sorry, we've got equipment going off already.
Okay, so Spirit are probably here listening to us, so I hope we don't offend you guys. But
And there it goes again.
We were setting up for a Estes method, and we were doing that. And as I was asking Chris questions, I heard it's like someone came up to my ear and went, like they were a bit annoyed with us or a bit exasperated, and I thought it was actually the woman who was standing out in the corridor, but she declared that she didn't do it. So I haven't had as many experiences as Chris has with her sort of adventures, but there's always been interesting things. What we do, we always start out an investigation with protection, because you never know who you're going to be contacting, what kind of spirit's there. In fact, we were up at a place called the Yulee Road Cemetery. I don't know if anyone's heard of that. Yeah, the reputation of that place precedes itself, I think. So when you go into places like that, you never really know what you could be bumping into. So it's always best to protect yourself before you go, while you're there, to the utmost, as much as you can. And we basically start off with, Chris will go around and she'll set up things like cat balls. If you want to show, while you're there, Chris, just want to show the cat balls. Basically, this is just little cat toys. I don't know if you've seen them before. Little cat toys. They're motion detecting lights, so if you move them, they'll flash like that. So they'll be set up. We have K2 meters, which detect EMF readings.
I suppose I can pick them all out, yeah.
There's the black box there with the red top. If you want to point
REM
that,
pod.
that's a REM
so when
pod.
a spirit touches it, I've just set that one off as well. That's a REM pod as well. This one's a REM pod as well, so when spirit touches it, I think the batteries are flat on this one. It just lights up, all those lights.
So we strategically place these around different areas. It could be in the graveyard or the cemetery or the house or venue that we're at. Mainly in doorways, windowsills, any place where we think spirits might be sort of lurking or able to contact us through touching or talking to some of these devices. We also have phone apps which we use. All of these things on their own, you can't really say for sure that, you know, this is a spirit doing this or this is a spirit doing that. They're very... But what happens is you'll get a bulk of, what we call a bulk of information, where you'll ask a question. You might know that there's a specific person who's been involved with that location, for example, and a name will come up on one of the apps. You'll ask for confirmation. EMF meters will go off, K2 meters will go off, REM pods will start flashing. So all of these things together can start to indicate that there are things around. If a light flashes here and there, that may not be anything specifically. So we don't just jump at every single little dot or little noise.
We always try and debunk anything, because sometimes, like, for instance, the K2 meters, anything electrical can set that off. If we're doing our live stream and our phone's too close to it, it'll go of the Richter scale.
So we, as we're saying, we start off with protection. We'll walk around, get a bit of, the main thing is you get a bit of a feel for the place. If you walk into a house, you guys might have done it yourself, you walk into a place and it feels weird, feels eerie, or you get a sense that there might be someone watching you. It's the same thing, so you sort of let your senses tell you what's going on in a specific place, and that might guide you to where you think certain, activity might be. So we do that, we walk around, we might do an Estes session. Chris might sit there and try and get some communication with spirits through that.
Yep.
We take recordings, EVP recordings, try to get EVP recordings. So most of the things that you see on the shows that are on YouTube and stuff, we do as well. Sometimes you get really clear EVPs, like you'll ask a question and we hear someone directly answer you. So, at times you'll get nothing. You might go to 5 graveyards or 5 cemeteries and get absolutely nothing, and you think, well, no one wants to talk to us, we're not doing it right. Then the next time you'll get so much stuff that you're just overwhelmingly obvious that something is there. Fortunately or unfortunately, I suppose we didn't get too much at the Hewley Road Cemetery.
No.
But
no, we did. We captured our cat balls were going off, K2 meters were going off, REM pod was going off. When we were standing around where the well is, we got if you watch the film, we've got a woman whispering as well. So
not as much as maybe some people have got up there. There's some investigators have had some really torrid experiences up there, so I suppose we were lucky enough not to get too much involved with that. But basically there are other venues around. We've done as Chris said, the Masonic Lodge in the city. That was very interesting. There's supposedly the ghost of a 6-fingered man who roams around there. So just the fact that he's got 6 fingers is probably, on one hand, is pretty amazing at one part. So to talk to him, whether he's alive or dead, would be interesting as well. So there's lots of history in there, lots of so-called spirit activity in there.
It's an amazing building.
We've also done some private houses where people have asked us to come in and have a look to see if there was anything there. They've been very interesting. We were at a place in, I think it's called Charleston, where a young man had murdered his father by shooting him in the face while he was lying in bed. And apparently before the lad had done that, he was hearing voices of a pig telling him to kill his father. So that to me sounded fairly demonic, and we were a bit trepidatious about going up there and checking that out, but we didn't really come up with a lot in there. We had a few interesting EVPs, communication through the Estes method, I should say, and we captured a couple of really decent orbs on film coming out of the bedroom. So again, that had a very strange feel to it, but we didn't really pick up too much.
Yeah, the people asked us to go there because they were hearing footsteps all throughout their house. They were not getting sleep. There was a spirit that was keeping one of their daughters awake and like talking to her. We sort of worked out it was maybe one of the nuns, because it used to be a birthing house back in the 1800s. It's now a dairy farm. But when we went there, an ex-team member, she is an expert in cleansing houses, but she had an operation at that time, so she couldn't do it. So she taught me how to do it. So I walked around and cleansed the house with moon water and holy water, and did the Lord's Prayer and put black salt around and eggshells and just every windowsill, every door, and walked through the whole house. I contacted the owner the next day, and she said that was the best night's sleep that she'd had for a long time. But like we said, it may not work, because sometimes it works, sometimes it could make it worse when you're trying to do a cleansing. Because they get angry and get more aggressive. But they were still there, but they were more quiet and more standing back. The second time we went there, myself and Simone went there. Simone did an extra cleansing, but she actually went to places that I didn't cleanse because she didn't feel the need to go where I'd already cleansed. And we bound the spirit up in the ceiling, and we could actually hear him walking around up there. So since then, I taught the lady how to protect herself because the spirit was attaching itself to her. So I told her what to do, surrounding herself with the white light, and when she's in the shower and all that to cleanse herself. And she's much more comfortable in the house now because she knows that they're not going to hurt her, and she's protecting herself. So
the house itself had a lot of history to it, even prior to this murder that had happened. I did a psychic reading on it before we went up there, and found that there were a lot of holes in the ground in the front yard. And apparently what they were is because it was a birthing centre back in the day, a lot of the stillborn babies and such were buried just in little holes in the ground. And you know, back in those days it was all very basic and very, you know, we would do it differently now, of course, but yeah. So the land itself had a lot of horrific sort of stuff to it, and I think just my personal opinion on it is that sometimes things like that happen, and then it causes things to continuously happen over the years. You know, like a bad karma or bad residual energy just draws more bad residual energy. But that's just a theory of mine.
Yep.
But yeah, so we basically do house cleansings. We don't do too many of them because, again, it can be a little bit, you know, dangerous for the people.
Yeah.
Tricky. We would always, if something was really bad, we would always refer to someone higher than us to do that kind of work, because you know, we don't want to be stepping out of our lane type of thing, because again, we've only been doing it for a short time. So, and it's like any of you people here tonight, you know, we've just picked up because we felt the passion, and especially Chris, she's very passionate about doing this. We felt that, you know, that's something we could try, and I'm sure that people here too, if you don't already do it yourselves, could probably quite easily do it with just a little bit of application. So we've always had psychic sort of stuff in our lives, so this was a natural progression for us. So we hopefully this summer and into next year we'll get a few more venues. What we have been doing is we've been trying to bypass the normal channels of ghost hunting and ghost touring, because they seem to tie up the different venues pretty hard. So we did, for example, we just went and booked a room in the Old Spot Hotel up here in Salisbury, and apparently that has a couple of spirits roaming around in there, and we did catch some.
Was his name Oscar?
Oscar, yeah. We caught caught him clinking the glasses in the bar there. So, you know, we were there, we spent the night there, we paid some money, we kept the pub happy, and
asked permission to go and asked permission to go and see if we could go and do an investigation in the front bar, which was closed at 9:30, so they let us in there by ourselves with the lights out, and it was, we got some
interesting
good,
things. And we always try to be as respectful as we can, because we're going to other people's properties, of course, and you know, we're just going to barge in there and start taking over, and have to be very, very respectful and treat everything, you know, with a lot of respect. So
even when you go to cemeteries, you've got to be respectful.
Absolutely.
As well.
You're walking into places where, you know,
People
spirits are trying to maybe, you know, relax and be peaceful, and here we are barging around with beeping implements
and loud
and
noises
and stuff. So yeah, it might be one good way to stir them up and get them activated, but yeah, we just try to be respectful as we can.
And also especially in really bad, creepy cemeteries, always verbalise that I do not give you permission to attach yourself to me or anybody in my team. You cannot leave the cemetery, you're to stay here. And I just say in Jesus' name, you cannot attach yourself, and I don't give you permission to attach yourself to me or anybody.
Which, in fact, it did happen to us in one of our investigations. We were at the Z ward at the old Glenside, and
this was before we become big paranormal investigators.
We were sitting in some of the rooms or the cells, whichever you want to call it, and we basically each got assigned a cell. Go and sit in there. In this cell, this was known for this person to be in there, and he did this or he did that. And Chris went into a cell where there was supposedly a gentleman who liked to touch women. So she's gone in there, and I was in another cell. I didn't really get much. I didn't feel like I got much, but what happened to me later on is I think I took something home with me. It was like I went from being happy-go-lucky to just, I couldn't understand why I was so angry, and just the slightest little thing was making me angry, like a car would just pull out normally and I'd be like, what the, and my whole demeanour changed. It lasted for a full day until I realised what was going on, and I had to give myself a cleansing, ask for Jesus to come down and remove whatever attachment was on me, and I physically felt it leave through my stomach area. It's just like a pop, and it left, and was almost instant relief. But I hadn't probably protected myself enough when I was in that place, and that really made me think a lot about protection after that. Chris, also, you had something happen to you that night as well when you were in that cell.
Yes, I was standing in the corner of the cell, and it felt like somebody was like pressing against me. And then when I got home, excuse me, but I had a big bruise underneath my boob, which wasn't there before.
So, and the stories we had heard from that place were pretty horrific. There had been young people who had gone in there on a tour, and they'd had just spontaneously vomited because they just had a nauseous attack come over them. So perhaps spirit was using their energy, and and when you think of the type of people who were in these places, the soul sort of wrenching things that would have been happening to them, there would have been some pretty nasty things hanging around just wanting to attach themselves to them. So we obviously got a little bit caught up with it, but again, since that day we've really made sure we protect ourselves.
Definitely, yeah. Although, did we do the railway station after or before the Z
Oh yeah, well, that's right, the railway station. I don't know if you know the Railway Museum in Port Adelaide.
Port Adelaide.
If anyone's ever done a tour there with Adelaide Haunted Horizons, they put on a really good tour there. That was actually one of our first tours, wasn't it?
It was,
We
yes.
went on. Now Chris was doing an Estes type method. It wasn't the full sound deprivation, but she was using a spirit box, and she was letting spirit communicate through her. So we were all watching her, and it got to the point where she started laughing, and just started off as just a little normal little laugh. Then the laughter just became more and more manic. And I don't know if you've ever seen, it was almost like something from a movie. It went from ha 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 to just this manic laughter into full crying. The whole gamut of emotions went from that to that. And she was angry, and obviously something was trying to possess her and trying to use her, her body and spirit. So we had to break that off and make sure that
I could feel it happening, and I was trying to control it, but I couldn't control it. And I mean, I eventually did. I broke myself out of it, but it was very draining. I felt like crap for about 6 hours after that. Got into the car, and I was just so drained and tired.
So there are some dangers to it. It looks all very well, and you think, oh, nothing's going to happen, but you really do have to be careful. And not that I would like to turn you off that doing it, but because it doesn't happen all the time, and if you do take care of yourself, protect yourself, you should be all right.
Yeah.
But you just never can tell what's going to be interested in coming home with you or attaching itself to you. So, yeah, that's probably the best idea I could say.
So I did have a list of all my experiences here. Oh, Hermitage Museum. If you ever get a chance, go and do it's run by Karina Eames. I've forgotten the name now. When the lights go out. She does a haunted dog tour at the Hermitage Museum. Fantastic. I actually, I've done quite a few tours there. She lets you've got the whole run of the whole place. You can go wherever you want. Probably the second time I went there, I went down into the basement, which they used to bring bodies and store them from the hotel across the road. And it used to be a stop for the Cobb and Co. Back in the 1800s, early 1900s. I was down in the cellar, standing back in the corner. I was just sitting there, and I'm like, nothing much is happening. So I go around and I go to step up the ladder, and there's a wall here, and I get, "Come on," whispered in my ear. Oh my goodness. Up goes my phone, and I don't even think my feet touch the ladder of the ladders. And then this same night, walked into the sewing room, which used to be the old school room, and to take a picture of one of the dolls, and the cupboard door opened. Third experience on that night, I'm walking down the stairs, and I had the lady spirit walk through me, so that was pretty creepy.
Did you also have an interaction with a child
Yep.
spirit?
That was my sleepover. I was the only one on the sleepover. We were sitting in one of the main rooms. All the lights were all turned out. We were sitting around this big table. It was only myself, James and Karina. We had cat balls all around the room, and the cat balls were actually going off in sync around the room. And then all of a sudden, myself and Karina felt this cold breeze underneath the table, and we sensed there was a child there. And I had this new app that I was using called Paranormal, and the word engine come out, and I knew there was a child spirit there, so I brought along a car. So I went, "Oh, engine, I've got a car here," and I went and pushed the car, and it just come flying back at me. That was exhilarating. So I jumped in Karina's lap, and we were like laughing for a while. And then we contained ourselves, and we apologised. We didn't mean to scare you. You just sort of like startled us a bit. So we turned the lights on, got the car, and I was pushing it. Spirit pushed it back, pushed it. So we sat there and played with the spirit for a while. It was fantastic, really great experience. And I got a cat ball, or a spirit ball, and I pushed it, and it went around, and then it went around a corner, and went round and round, and then it went underneath the table. So that was a...
So the main gist of her place is dolls, isn't it?
It's
So
haunted dolls, yep.
Some really... She did have there was a doll called the
Let Me
Out of Here doll. It's quite a famous doll that's been around. It was on television 20, 30 years ago. It's a very creepy looking, almost looks like a Slavic puppet doll. And it's supposedly the second or third most haunted doll in...
So I think it's the most haunted doll in the world, yeah.
It's very haunted, and she had
Other
that
than
there.
Annabelle.
Yeah, of course. So she's got quite a few very interesting dolls
Thousands.
there. So it's not a bad place to go. She's very, very friendly and very informative.
She does monthly tours.
Yep.
And sleepovers as well. Also, St Jude Cemetery. Has anybody heard of St Jude Cemetery? Yeah, that's a very haunted cemetery. We've been there 4 times. 3 times have been there, nothing much happened. I mean, we've had the cat balls and REM pods and that go off, which is, exciting, but not that exciting. Last time I went there went there with Angela and Pete and a couple of other people. As soon as I got there early before everybody else, as soon as I pulled up, I felt like I was being watched straight away, and I went, "Oh, this is going to be a good night." So was it ever? We were doing our investigations. We had all our equipment was going off, and all of a sudden we had bark thrown at us, like a big, huge piece of bark. We were all together. Then straight away we were like looking around the cemetery to see if there was anybody there, because you've got to debunk it. Is somebody actually throwing it at us? So we turned around in the direction that it was coming, and it stopped. And then I had a thought, "Oh, hang on, what about if we just all group together and turn our backs?" And as soon as we turned our back, a big shower of tiny bark come over us. We were showered with bark and stones and pebbles all that night, and that was only a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
Kapunda is a very haunted place, so I don't know how many people might have gone there.
Kapunda Cemetery.
Very haunted place. You've got just about every hotel there is pretty haunted. The main one being the North Kapunda, that's featured on many programs.
Ghost Crime Tours do a tour there.
Yep. The Sir John Franklin.
Very haunted.
The museum is haunted. There's the courthouse, the St John's Cemetery, and I think there's another cemetery there.
There's lots of haunted places there.
One of the most haunted towns in Australia, so it's very close. So it's one of those places that you could, take a day trip or a night trip there and quite easily.
We've actually captured a photo of a shadow person in the hallway at the Sir John Franklin Hotel. One night we hired the whole top floor. They knew that we were there investigating. I'd been there quite a few times, so Phil knows me. He's the bar manager. knows, every time he sees my name, he knows what's going on. Anyway, we were there filming, doing a live stream. Angela had a Polaroid camera and she just snapped a picture, pulled it out, and there's a shadow person standing right at the end of the hallway. Amazing capture. If anybody wants to see, I've got a picture of it at the end. I've got a picture of it on my phone. The family room is probably one of the most haunted rooms in there, and that's where we stayed, and we had cat balls going off. We captured, what do you call it, ghosts? Orbs.
Yeah, orbs, yep.
Orbs and REM pods going off. So it's even down the hallway, pretty much all the rooms. We had access to all the rooms. It's a very haunted hotel. So not only North Kapunda, but
so
John Franklin as
we've
well.
only scratched the surface basically of what's available in Adelaide and surrounding districts. A lot of very haunted places around. And that's not even counting the amount of people that you talk to that have got haunted houses, that their own houses are haunted. So there's just a lot of activity around Adelaide, and we're just getting started with it really. As we've said, we've sort of only been involved with it for a short time, but we're getting more experience every time. There's also a lot of other people around Adelaide who do this sort of thing, and we get involved with them, and we try to learn off of people who've done it for a longer time. So, that's pretty much our story, really. Does anyone have any questions that they'd want to ask? Yep.
What is a shadow person?
Shadow person is it's a picture of just a black silhouette. And it's a spirit that's showing themselves like a black silhouette.
We're not sure. We think that they're probably not a human spirit.
Yeah.
They may be an elemental spirit, or possibly something a bit darker, a bit demonic. They generally are in places where there has been some very nasty stuff happening, possible suicides, murders, and things like that. And that sort of stuff attracts those type of spirits. So that's what we think they are. They're not everywhere, but I think you sort of tend to feel them in the places. If it's usually a dark energy, you can sort of feel it. But they come out in photos. You'll just see like a silhouette of a black sort of figure, which is darker than dark. But that's what we think they are.
Sometimes you can see through them as well. They're just like a dark black, but they're like transparent.
Any other questions?
Hi, I was subscribing to your channel on YouTube there, so I've been a fan for a little while. I was watching one episode you did, and I think it was a private house in Adelaide Hills, and somebody's toy box was haunted.
Oh yes, that was in Mount Barker.
Yeah, how did you determine that it was that box that was haunted? And why did you ask everybody to wear black obsidian?
Because black obsidian is a good protection. The child was, because it was in the son's bedroom, he was having trouble sleeping and getting scared. He was forever going and sleeping in the parents' bedroom because he couldn't sleep in that room. Black obsidian is a good protector. It's a good protector, good grounding crystal. That's why.
Sometimes dark entities will disguise themselves as children. They'll pretend to be children because they want to get you interested in them.
But it ended up being the grandfather.
Yeah.
Was there because it was his box that he had in World War II, and we worked that out just from doing, because I did an app we use on our phone called Necrophonic, and the name William come through, and that was actually the child's name, but he was named after his grandfather. So that's what we worked out. And then Simone, who is a bit of a sensitive, walked to the box, and she felt the energy on it.
Was it the grandfather's toy box?
It was the grandfather's box that he had to use his stuff in when he was in World War II.
Oh, okay.
So and they inherited the box. So the child used it as a toy box. Yeah.
Sorry, no, that's all right. Two questions. Firstly, how come it has to be, why is it have to be dark?
Because it makes it scary.
Actually, sometimes
We're not terrified, not
sometimes,
scared.
Sometimes it's not. You can walk into a room that's lit like this, and you'll get just as much activity.
And
it doesn't necessarily need to be dark.
No.
It's just a lot of the times, especially in the winter time, when we go out, it's normally pretty well dark anyway. But yeah.
You can do them during the day. I've done investigations at Old Tailem Town during the day because I went there on a tour at night time and didn't really get much happening. So we went there during the day and they knew that I was there doing an investigation, and I actually got more activity than when I was there at night time.
I just see it on the TV and then they go into these jails or something. You turn the lights off, you just see them like...
It makes it more, I don't know, atmosphere, a bit more sort of like...
It's also sensory.
Sensory, yeah.
Yeah. And the theory is too that spirits tend to be a little bit more active at night, but again,
they can be active during the day as well.
That's subjective, really.
Yeah.
They can be active during the day. I worked in a hospital where you could walk down a certain corridor there, which was known to be haunted, and that was like you didn't want to be in that corridor. You wanted to get out of there because it felt like someone was almost putting their chin over your shoulder.
So how does that energy disperse then? It just stays until...
They can stay for as long as they wish. You can remove them, through
Only
certain...
if they want to go. They could be attached to the land, something. They could be...
Yeah, it's like someone might get killed in an accident and they don't know they're dead. So they haven't moved on to the light. They don't realise they're dead, so they're attached to their own personal possessions. They just build a nice, beautiful house, so they don't want to leave that house. So they'll go and attach themselves there, but they don't want to move on. They've missed their chance, or they don't want to. Yeah. It
is. They're probably standing in this room with us at the moment too. They're all around the place.
Yeah, there are.
And some, and sometimes family members come back and visit you as well.
Some people who have the ability to see these spirits will tell you that the room could be crowded and they can only see one person in it, as in one living person, but the rest are all spirit because that's what they do. There's a lot of them just hang around.
Hang on, Dino, that lady.
Sorry.
Is there anything on there to make the emergency going on?
Sorry, say that again?
Have you got anything on the table that the EMF keeps going off?
Yep, I've noticed that this ghost, this is a new equipment we actually got today, it just went to green. It's got a sensor on it, so this bit here, that's me setting it off, and that's probably me as well.
So if this one has been going off while you're talking about certain...
The one with the orange stand on it?
Yeah.
Oh,
with the K2 meter.
K2 meter.
That's the one.
Yep.
Yeah, there it goes.
When you talked earlier about the babies, they went off.
That's actually one of our favourite pieces of equipment because it only goes off if there's some kind of... Yeah, because we can't see it from this side,
No, we
obviously.
can't see it. But yeah, this is what I was talking about. It detects EMF like electromagnetic field. So this is the one that you have to be careful with because if we go up to because electricians use it as well to detect things in the wall and that. So we can't stand too close to it when we're doing a live stream with our phone. If you want to use your phone near it, your phone has to be on aeroplane mode, otherwise it'll set it off. I love this. This is my favourite. This is our motion. We use this as well.
It doesn't light the light though. If you shine a light on it, it starts doing that.
So it senses anybody walking past it. Yeah.
See, a lot of
So that's gone off quite a few times, but I'm setting that off. And also, this is there you go, I just set it off again. This is I'll just turn it off now, otherwise it'll keep going off when I go in front of it. So her arm's supposed to go up and down too, but the mechanism's broken.
She's very demanding.
Yeah. And this is a REM bear. It's like a REM pod, but the spirit has to touch it. And you can't see the light. You can see there's lights in its arms and legs, and it makes that sound.
Doesn't like being strangled, by the way.
No. That's only got... I've had this probably is one of the first things I bought, and it's only gone off 2 times.
But if you've got any motion sensing toys or things, that they work just as well. You know, kids have toys that go off.
And you wanted to get something, what would you recommend?
That would be your best.
And cat balls, you can get them on eBay.
They're the most basic things, but they're also two of the best ones you can get. The cat balls are like $15 for 3. So they're pretty good value.
But yeah, I'd recommend one of these. That's always our go-to.
And like Chris said, as long as it's not near anything electrical, if it's standing in the middle of a room and it starts going off, you know there could be something around it. Again,
and we've also got this one, called a Paranormal music box. So it's got this one's pretty good because it's got a 360 sensor. So you turn it on, and then when something walks past it, the music goes. But every time, you have to debunk it because if somebody like live walks past, it'll go off as well. So, and also other things we use is called a puck light, and I think the battery's died. No, it's got an automatic sensor on it as well, which is not going to work. Oh, because it's too light in here. So it only works when it's dark. It senses something through this sensor, and the light will turn on.
Again, pick them up from Bunnings.
Yeah, but I got that from Bunnings for $7.
So there are a lot of things you can use. Dowsing rods, if anyone's ever used dowsing rods.
I didn't bring my dowsing rods.
You didn't?
I didn't.
But if anyone's
dowsing
ever
rods
used
as well.
dowsing rods, they're a good method to use, especially in cemeteries, houses, to get yes and no questions from them or anything else really. I'm not really au fait with the dowsing rods myself.
I won't turn this on because this is so noisy and loud and like ear piercing. It's like a REM pod alarm / EMF meter, but it's really loud, so it won't turn that on.
Mind you, we're not technically au fait with everything either. We sort of know basically how they work, but if someone said how do they actually exactly work, we probably couldn't tell you a lot.
REM pods work on, I think, again, the same electromagnetic. The spirit has to touch it. This one's probably the best one. Sorry?
Have you got one of the ones that does like the temperature changes, fluctuations?
Oh, yeah, no, we don't have one of those yet. We're still building our equipment.
Our arsenal, yeah, but they're good as well, yeah.
These are our 2 newest equipment. We received these today. These are actually Australian made by... You can buy these online, Think Lab. And this one's called a ghost response, which is basically, I don't know, if you watch ghost shows on YouTube, the yes-no pyramid thing, it's basically the same sort of thing. It's got sensors on both sides. So the yes, and this is actually I've noticed that's been going off.
Static field
and
box.
this is a static field box. I think it measures the electromagnetic statics in the air. We've been told that this is probably one of the best paranormal equipments that is out. It's like very it works the best. I'm sorry, I can't.
We've only just got it. At
yeah,
first
we only got it today, so. It's got obviously copper here, and this has gone off a couple of times tonight as well.
Are you able to invite anybody that's in the room, because it is?
Yeah. We can, and if anyone would like to do that themselves personally, please feel free. But we would like to ask any spirit who is in the room tonight, to come down. We have a bunch of toys on the table here. Feel free to touch, talk to, or in any way contact. So straight away we've got a...
Yeah.
There's plenty here in this room.
You guys could probably see a bit better than what we could some of these things here, so...
Actually, I'll turn the music box on as well, see if they can set that off.
Sure. Feel free to come out any time you want to and have a look at these too. We're just about finished with our presentation, so we'll leave them here. If you want to come out and have a look at them, feel free. But that's one of the K2 meters that we were talking about. I don't know, I saw it go off then a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, this one.
I find these are really good. The Gladstone Cemetery.
This is a music box, so it's got a sensor on it.
No, I've heard of it though. I haven't been there yet. Okay, that's probably a good one.
This is what we call an S box. So
it's a really good ones
when you.
Yeah, okay.
I'll turn that off. When you turn that on, I'll turn it on and so you can listen to it.
Okay, so were there any more questions?
I'm just showing this lady.
Do you know the difference between a recordings ghost and a live ghost? So a real presence, a person is there, and a recordings, which is supposed to be something.
Residual energy.
Residual energy.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, the residual energy is basically, as you said, a recording. So an event may have happened in a house, for example. You might see ghosts
That might be
walking
me
through a
setting that off.
room. They'll do the same thing over and over again, just like they're on some kind of a loop. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not going to imprint. So that's basically what we think they are. More intelligent ones will answer questions as you ask them. You know, you might say, how old are you, who are you, and they'll answer intelligently and so forth. The recorded loopy type ones, they generally don't talk to you. You'll just see them, they'll move on, and they might just keep recurring.
They just do the same thing over and over again.
So, and usually because something's happened there, or that's, you know, their will or their energy has been so great in the past, what's going off,
Yeah.
it's left an imprint on that area. And I guess it's all energy. So what you put in, how much energy you've got in your life is what you put in. I don't know about anybody else. If you go into a house that hasn't been lived in for a while, for example, you walk in, it feels empty, feels dead. It doesn't feel like there's any life there. When you walk into your own house, you can feel the energy that you've left there. And all the people in there have got energy. They leave it resides in the walls. It's like psychometry. When you read jewellery, it leaves an energy within that object. So and houses are the same. You know, whoever lives there, whatever's happened to them, that gets put into the house.
Their energy there.
Same with the land. You know, different places, like we were saying about this place in Charleston, that had some horrific things happen right back in the day when white people, and probably before white people even got there, there was always something going on there, attracted the same sort of energy to the point where someone ended up murdering someone. And I think sometimes land has residual energy as well, so you might have people walking around on land that might have been something else. So you might have had a farm that had sheds that were used as shearing sheds, but they got torn down. But you might still see someone walking around from the past who might have been there as residual energy sort of spirit. So
And also attached to items as well.
attached to items, hence you get hauntings of different objects. You'll have, obviously the Annabelle doll, which supposedly is, possessed by a demon, or you'll get other things that might just be possessed by the spirit of something that's attached to it. It's their favourite doll or their favourite item, their piece of cutlery or something, and they just don't want to let go of it. And here you are touching it. It's like, what are you doing touching my favourite piece of jewellery or whatever it is? So
They also don't like it if they're attached to a house if you start renovating the house.
Yes.
They go crazy.
Renovations can upset them a bit
Yes.
because, they go to walk out a door that they used to be able to walk in and suddenly they're bumped into a wall that you've just put up. It upsets them a bit sometimes.
I'd like to add, the last two homes that I've owned have had resident ghosts in them, and I have to say that we as a family learned to live with them. It was never any dark stuff, there was never any sinister stuff. It was like we knew they were there, and many people have seen, certainly the house I'm in now, many people have experienced these three old German brothers that would have built the home, lived there back in the 1800s or whatever. And the fascinating thing there is that only one time in the house I'm in now that I ever felt that they were not happy with me was when somebody suggested to me that I smudge the house. You've just bought this house, you need to smudge it because you don't know what's in there, and not happy, Jan, not happy.
But you brought up a good point. Not every spirit that inhabits a place is going to be evil, dark and nasty. They could just be attached to the place and quite interested in what you do. So they're not going to be hovering over you in the middle of the night wanting to scratch you or do something evil to you. They might, they just might be hanging around. And as you said, if you can live with them,
Yeah, dogs and cats.
then
and
that's
any
okay
animal,
too. You don't need to have them, exorcised out of the house or, have a blessing. It just depends on how you, as you say, how you react to them. Some people, of course, don't like them at all, so It doesn't matter who they are or what they are.
So can you do both, like keep your ones you want and shoot the ones you don't?
I think you can. I'm not, again, we're not experts on it, but I have seen and talked to people who have been able to get rid of darker spirits out of a place, but left the others there, because I guess they don't necessarily interact together because one would want to keep away from the other. So I think you can, but again, I'm not an expert on that one. So if you've got a dark spirit in there, something really dark, you might want to get someone in who knows what they're doing to do that.
A priest in to bless the house.
Wanted to get rid of.
That's it. If there's...
Or stop from ever visiting. We need that visit. But we need
if you want to keep them there, that's up to you. That's fine. It's only when you don't want them there, that's when people get called up and asked to do things. Any other questions?
Have you ever done the move to cemetery?
No,
but we
again,
will.
that can be on.
We went up there with my son years and years ago. It's quite creepy because there's a lot of babies, thousands of babies that died from TB years ago.
All right.
Just get that feeling.
No worries. That's another one to add to our list then. So we're always looking for places to go, because you can run out pretty quickly if you're just going to...
Moocha Hotel as well,
Yeah, I watch a lot of the ghost channels on YouTube there, and it just seems that a lot of them are getting their devices to flash lights and that sort of thing, but not many are actually doing experiments to try and find out how these ghosts get their energy. And you spoke about Kapunda, and I've heard that the Brits, they thought that was the best copper they ever found anywhere. So the copper is obviously doing something to generate the EMF, and also there's supposed to be a ley line there. I heard. I don't know if there's truth to that, but there's also marble that the Brits went mad for there. That there's a crystal to it.
Yeah, that's right.
And would you say that maybe Kapunda is like that because of these factors?
I think you could be right.
It's not just Kapunda, there are other places which are known to be really haunted that you find, as you say, are on ley lines. They have a certain amount of crystal content in the earth, all attract, spirits or energies there, so you could be right.
I definitely believe that because I've had my own experiences with the Great Pyramid of Cheops in Egypt. They told me not to take photos, but I did in the King's Chamber, and I captured a picture of paranormal entity in there. But this is a 4,500-year-old building. It was built on a specific site with crystal and a spring underneath the pyramid. And I don't know what they did in there, whether it was rituals or power generation, but I don't believe it was a tomb.
No, I believe they're built for power generation.
There's a lot of those types of sites around the place, and as you say, they're built on those places for specific reasons, whatever they were, whether they were...
There's two ley lines that cross over there, and they spent a lot of time and effort all those years ago trying to bring all that marble from Aswan, which is like a distance from Melbourne to here, without machines.
You can find that some places, like I've never experienced it myself, but people who have been to Uluru have taken rocks from Uluru, brought them home and had absolute nightmares. And it's not something that you should do. You should never take things from sacred sites and stuff, but people who have done have ended up having to mail them back to those areas because they've brought something back that they shouldn't have brought back. So some sites like that are very spiritual, and if you go there, you should be very careful about what you do there, and don't take things from there will be probably a good thing as well. And maybe you would find that somewhere like Uluru is built on something that's like a ley line, but it was very spiritual for the Aboriginal people. So there's a lot of these places really do need a bit more research, as you say, into why they were put there, what the actual lay of the land does for these places. Does it, amplify these things, or whether it, there's something in the earth that's affecting, like crystals and stuff. So it's a very, very good point.
In my 30s, I used to run a circle in New Zealand. And a friend of mine, her son was named Michael, she rang me up to come round because something had gone wrong with him. So when I went round, and she actually gave me a cross, and when you said that, your whole personality changed, so did mine, because the cross actually burnt into my hand. And I said, I think we need to do something a little bit more serious. So So I rang a friend of mine who was a married elder,
Yeah.
and we went round to his place and he said, you protect yourself because you know what you can do. And I sat on the lounge. He actually had been to a walking path, like a cemetery,
Yeah.
and he picked up a really good spirit,
Yeah.
and it actually went on to him. But I actually turned nasty.
Yeah.
The chair flew at me.
Yeah.
I was driving and I actually thought another car was coming towards me.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting rid of that spirit, but he was the one that had the whole entity.
Yeah.
He drowned 2 years later.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they do attach to you.
that's the worst they have again.
Yeah.
There is a mountain in Queensland called Black Mountain,
Yeah.
and I've actually seen it, and it has the most foreboding feeling around it. And the Indigenous people, they say they won't go near it. It's completely taboo.
Yeah.
They reckon that if somebody goes there and gets in between the rocks, and they are black, they're all
Yeah.
black, they may not come out. And a lot of people have died in there.
Yeah.
And it's just this, I don't know what it is, but it's just really overpowering.
Yeah, I think there is a lot to it, to these places, as that gentleman said before, that there are things within the earth that attract certain things, and you don't know whether it's the ley lines, whether it's the earth. Spirit, as you say, the Aboriginal people are very spiritual. They know a lot about what goes on in the land, so absolutely. Okay, so that lady then, we'll go for you next.
Sorry, we've got one over here. She's been waiting some time.
The cemetery at Salisbury, it used to be the Peter Jackson Hotel, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Twice driving up that road, I saw an old man leaning on the fence, and when you got there, he wasn't there.
Yeah.
And my partner come home one night and said the same thing. He was driving past it, and there was an old man at the end leaning on the fence, but when he got there was no one there.
Yeah.
One night we drove past like 2 in the morning, and I saw a heap of people in there all dressed in old-fashioned clothes.
Yeah.
And I said to him, they must be filming something. It looks like a,
Film set.
like women had long white dresses, old-fashioned clothes.
Yeah.
But he swore, I can't see anyone in there.
Yeah.
But my actual house, we had my daughter and my partner seeing a black thing in there all the time, and the animals were too.
Yeah.
I actually cleansed the house myself through a spiritualist lady. She told me what to do. And when I did it all, it was like I'd run a marathon. I was so, my body and the puffing for about an hour, just completely exhausted from it. But we've had the lad that lived there before us died in the house. And I knew when we moved in, the dog was always an inside dog, but it would never come inside that house.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the one seeing the black thing, but it was after my partner's father, he hung himself. And their friend was also saying that she was seeing this black thing in the house.
Yeah.
She woke up and there were great big handprints on her television. We had the same thing. My daughter was saying about this black thing, and my partner saying it was hovering over him when he was asleep. And he got up and went in the laundry, and a shelf above the fireplace, he woke up and all the vases on it were on him. But I actually did that myself through like a spiritualist lady told me what to do, but I've never felt such exhaustion and all after it. It was unbelievable, and like I had my hands on the wall and all, and it was like thunder going through me. And I had to like put my hands on all the walls, and it was like a heap of thunder going through your body. But the Salisbury Cemetery, my partner even come home from work one day and said he was driving up the road and seen an old bloke leaning on the fence, and when he got there was no one there.
That sounds like another place.
For us to definitely have a look at too,
yeah. People all in there, I thought they must be making a film.
Yep.
Because they actually look like ghosts, and they were all walking in like slow motion. There was about 20 of them.
Some of it could be like the residual energy we were talking about before. That could be people from the past that are just continually doing the same thing all the... Yeah. There we go.
Did they go out by themselves or did somebody turn them out?
Yeah, some people can't see them at all. They just don't see them. Other people can see everything. Yeah.
Okay.
The animals are a good indication too.
To the spirits that are in this church with us tonight, are you able to touch one of these, some of this equipment on the table, please? Just to show us that you're here.
We know there's a few of you around because we've seen them flipping around the place. So if you don't be shy, come forward. They're just toys, they won't hurt you.
You were touching them before, or is it because we're asking you to nicely to do it, you don't want to do it now? I did turn that one on, didn't I?
I'm not sure.
This is the one that's been going off. Ooh.
Static field.
No. Spirits are known to drain batteries as well, so I think they've drained this battery because it's not working now. Yep, drained.
And you only got that today?
Yeah.
Brand new batteries.
Brand new battery, and they do that. They drain your batteries. We've done it with our cameras as well. They'll drain your camera batteries. All of this equipment they can drain. But yeah, they've drained that one, so that one's dead.
Definitely about energy.
And this one is dead as well. The K2 meter.
And the static field box seems to be going off a bit
Yeah,
as well. So.
that might be me setting that off though.
Okay. Well,
there you go. I just set the POC light off. Just see if this one's still working. Yep, that one's working.
All right. So look, I guess we've sort of gone through as much as we can with this stuff. So definitely, if you want to come up and ask us some more questions, we'll leave it open. Leave it for finished for now, but if you want to come and check out some of this equipment, feel free to come out and have a look. Ask some questions about us. We'll answer as best as we can. We're not technical experts on it, but we might be able to help you out with something. So thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming along. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.